Welcome to the channel, guys. My name is Mary if you're new here, and we're sitting in our beautiful container garden in which we grow close to 100% of the fresh food that we eat right here at home, or vegetables or herbs or fruits. All of that we grow in containers. Now if you're new, you would not be aware that we are living on rocks, hence the name of the channel. We have only rocks, absolutely no soil, and so our only choice was to grow in containers because we must grow food. That is a must. That's a choice that we make to grow our own food, and that is the reason we are planting in containers. Now, not all of what I grow in containers does well, but in this video I'll be sharing with you the top 10 vegetables in my garden that does extremely well in containers. So if you're already into gardening, if you are wanting to start your gardening journey and you're not sure if you should plant in containers or what you should plant in containers, these 10 that I'm about to share with you might be a good starting point for you to grow food and be confident that they will do well in containers. Now in this video I'll be sharing with you the time frame they take, so you'll have a realistic expectation when planting, and also have an idea when in the season to start planting in order to get your harvest before it gets too cold, depending on where you're living. All right, so let's jump into it. Now, my number one plant to grow in containers is pepper. Peppers does extremely well in my garden in containers and in other person's gardens as well, and so I know it's perfect to plant peppers in containers, and they will survive for years growing in containers if you should take care of them properly. I share videos from time to time showing how I take care of my pepper plants in order for them to do really well. Now peppers take between 3 months to 6 months to produce, depending on the variety of pepper that you're growing. So say for example, bell pepper might take just 3 months for you to get your first harvest, while pepper like Scotch bonnet or so on, they start producing round about the same time, but it takes a little more time for them to be ready for harvest. So peppers usually take between 3 to 6 months to be ready from seeds to be ready for harvesting. And so if you know, if it is that you're planting one of those that take a little longer, you plant it at the jump of spring, you plant your peppers. Bell peppers you can take a chance and plant it later on, but in order for you to get Scotch bonnet and those type of peppers to produce before it gets too cold, because they love the warm weather, plant them early for you to get harvest. Usually my supporters from Canada would say, Mary, by the time they start blossoming it's too cold. You have to get them started early. My advice is to start them, the seeds, in grow lights when it's close to spring, so as spring hits you're able to take them and plant them out in the garden. But peppers are my number one producers in containers in my garden. Number two is tomatoes. Now, I have a love-hate relationship with tomatoes. Presently in my garden, all my tomatoes are dying, but they do really well in containers. When they're ready to produce, guys, they produce extremely well in containers. And why I love planting tomatoes in containers is I'm able to control the amount of nutrients that I provide my tomatoes. So tomatoes are heavy feeders, and so I feed them with mostly composted items or banana peels. And I usually just bury those organic material close to the root of the tomato plant. Now when they're in ground, when it rains, when you water, it washes those nutrients away. When it's in a container, you know it is around the plant and providing much needed nutrients for the plant to produce lovely tomatoes. So tomatoes, they will do well in containers. You want to plant them in a big size, no less than 5 gallons of soil. You don't want to plant those in the little 2 gallons that I'd plant my herbs in and so on. You want to plant those in bigger containers. I plant mine in the tubs. I plant them in the half a barrels. I plant them in the machine containers because those containers are able to hold a good amount of soil. And as I said, tomatoes are heavy feeders. You want to provide a lot of soil to hold enough nutrients to feed your tomato plants. So that's another favorite for me, to plant in containers. My number 3 thing to plant in containers are eggplants. Eggplants does well, and I plant them in as small as 5 gallon as well. But those are also heavy feeders. You want to plant your eggplants in a big size container, and so they'll produce big fruits. No less than 5 gallon, I would suggest. You can chance and plant them in smaller, but you're gonna be required to feed them more in order for them to do well. Eggplants take between 70 days to 90 days to produce. So I grew fingerling, still have them in my garden, and I grow black beauty eggplants. I find that the fingerling eggplants, those are the smaller varieties, those are ready sooner than the black beauty eggplants. I realized the black beauty eggplant, the plant itself gets way bigger than the fingerling before it starts producing fruits, and then the fruits take a little more time to grow as well. So it depends on the variety of eggplants that you're growing. Usually it takes between 70 to 90 days to get your eggplants ready for harvest. Number 4 is cabbages. Guys, if you have been following my journey, cabbages does extremely well in containers. I plant my cabbage in 1 gallon container, 2 gallon, 3 gallon. The biggest container I've planted them in, apart from when I put them in like my DIY raised bed or bathtub, 5 gallon maybe, but 3 gallons, they do absolutely fantastic in 3 gallon containers, and they need very little fertilizing in my garden. In my opinion, they don't need a lot of expensive fertilizer. I feed mine with my rabbit manure. That's what I feed them with. And before I had rabbits, I fed them with chicken manure and horse manure whenever I see like they're slowing down. Now, cabbages take between 2 months to 5 months to be ready, depending on the variety. The smaller variety cabbages, they will be ready by 2 months, as soon as 2 months. The bigger varieties will be ready 3 months, 4 months. The red cabbage, 5 months, 6 months. The red cabbages take a little bit longer to be developed into a lovely head, but when they produce, it's worth it. And so, what I would normally suggest is you plant both varieties so you don't become disheartened when you have to wait what seemed like everlasting long for the red one to be ready. You can eat the green ones while you wait on the red ones, but it is worth the wait. They're sweeter, and they're crunchier. They look better on your plate in your salads. So I enjoy growing them in my garden. I go both for both the pest control and for both the beauty and taste of the cabbages. So I encourage you to plant those, and they do well in containers. Lettuce. Number 5 is lettuce. Lettuce you can literally grow in a cup. It grows so quickly, and it can be planted in very small containers. Lettuce is ready between 6 to 8 weeks, or even earlier if you want to eat them like microgreens. And one of the reasons I enjoy planting lettuce in containers, guys, when we garden in containers, more often than not, is because we don't have space. Space is one of the biggest reasons why us gardeners plant in containers. And when you plant stuff like corn or callaloo, cabbages, those that will take a little longer to be fully ready, you can sprinkle a few lettuce seeds in there, and you're able to harvest out those way ahead of the main crop that you intend on growing in that container. And it does not take too much nutrients away from your crops that you're trying to grow, because they come so quickly, and you're able to get good nutrition from lettuces growing in companion planted in those containers. So it's one of the things that I enjoy growing. I grow lettuce in almost everything in my garden. If I plant some tomatoes, I plant some peppers, I stick a few lettuce seeds in there, quickly harvest them, and allow my main crop to continue growing. And lettuce is versatile. Everybody I know eat lettuce. If you don't eat carrots and cucumbers and pumpkins, you eat lettuce. And so I encourage you to plant some lettuce. And for persons who are just starting the gardening journey, it might be a challenge to wait on your first crop. So I encourage you to plant lettuce and pak choy because those come quickly and you feel like you're actually successful at gardening when you plant those one that will come quickly and more likely won't get disease and die on you and you feel like a failure when in fact you're not. So I encourage you to plant some lettuce in your garden in your containers. Number 6 are carrots. Now, carrots, they take a little longer to grow, but they grow extremely well, especially in grow bags and stuff that you can just turn over. Even though carrots are so easy to be pulled, but they do well in containers, buckets, pots, raised beds, in tubs. They grow really well in containers, and so I encourage you to plant some carrots as well. They're so satisfying to harvest. Any vegetable that you have to dig for or root up, the surprise, it is so satisfying when you see that it actually produce something. It gives you that sense of accomplishment, and so I encourage you to plant carrots as well in containers. Carrots take 70 to 80 days to be ready. So as I said, they might take a little longer to be ready than the green leafy vegetables like lettuce, but it is so worth it when you're able to harvest those carrots that you've planted yourself in containers. Number 7 is beetroot. Beetroot is I enjoy planting beetroot, and they can be planted in really shallow soil as long as it is rich and well prepared. They can be planted in shallow soil because they are surface producers. They do not burrow deep into the soil. They produce right on top of the soil, and so they don't need a lot. As long as that soil is rich, they will grow and they will produce well. They can be planted in very tiny containers as well as very large beds. So beetroots, I absolutely love planting beetroot. One of the reasons that I enjoy planting beetroot is because we eat both the leaves and the beet itself. I love to, I don't cook it, I make it into juices. But it can be stir fried just like your spinach or your kale, collards. The leaves can be eaten and the beetroot itself can be eaten. So I enjoy planting that, and I feed the leaves to my rabbits too. So we all benefit from growing beetroots. I encourage you to plant beetroot in containers. They're so easy to grow. Just toss a few seed in there, and before you know it, they're up and producing. Beetroot takes between 8 to 12 weeks to be ready. So it does not take a long time. 3 months maximum, you're able to harvest a lot of beetroots if you planted a lot of seeds, that is, from your garden and enjoy healthy, nutritious veggies from your garden. Number 8 is potatoes, guys. I have a potato challenge. I have tried numerous times. Up until the last time I planted, I thought I had it down packed. But I'll continue to try. Now, there are persons who plant potatoes successfully and get a lot of potatoes. I'm so happy for you guys. Send some of your luck and blessing my way because I intend on trying again. We enjoy eating potatoes, and so I will continue. But it is one of the best things to plant in containers. The potatoes usually produce really well. One thing about potatoes is that what I know is that it produces on the stem. So if you're planting it in a say a 5-gallon container, you plant it close about a quarter way to the bottom of the container, and then you, as it grows, you mold it up with soil all the way to the top of the container, and it should produce all the way up the stem and give you tons and tons of potatoes. Now, I'm going to take my own advice and plant some potatoes this school season to get some Irish potatoes in my home. Now, Irish potatoes take between 90 to 120 days to be ready. So 3 to 4 months you should be able to harvest potatoes if they produce like they should. and I'm going to give it a shot again. Of course, I'm going to share that experience with you. I share the failure, I'm going to share the success when I do succeed at growing potatoes in containers in my garden. Number 9 is bean. Beans do extremely well in containers. One of the reasons I enjoy planting beans in containers is so I can move it into the shade sometimes, because they do not like the heat. And if you know Jamaica, if you've visited Jamaica or you live here, we are hot all year round. Even in what should be winter, we experience really, really high temperatures during the day, and beans does not like the heat so much. I plant the vining variety as well as the bush beans. I plant Kentucky Wonder beans, those vine, and they tolerate the heat somewhat. So I enjoy planting those in containers, of course, and the bush variety. I used to have huge harvest from the bush variety, and I'm not sure why, but recently I have been struggling. But nevertheless, never mind my failures. Plant your beans in containers and they should do well, because mine did well in the past. I'm sure it will do well in the future as well. But right now, I don't have any producing presently. But I will continue to try. They do well in containers, guys. And beans usually take between 50 to 75 days to be ready. So just over a month to 2 months and you will be able to start harvesting your beans. They produce really, really quick. Number 10, and guys, I'm gonna give you a bonus as well. Number 10 is cucumbers. Now, cucumbers are heavy feeders, so you want to plant those in sizable containers. Plant them in the 25 gallons or 15 gallons is fine as well, but you're gonna need to water, because cucumbers, they demand watering, but they produce well in containers. And just like with the tomatoes I mentioned earlier, I am able to provide the nutrients and know that it is sitting close to the root of my cucumbers. So I enjoy planting those in containers. I plant the little teeny pickling cucumbers to the very, very long Armenian yard long cucumbers in containers, and they all do really, really well. So I encourage you to give those a shot as well. You want to provide your cucumbers with a trellis though. So unlike what I did with my Armenian yard long that had grown right in front of me here, I sort of provided it with a trellis, but it didn't work out. When you provide them with trellises, they do really, really well, rather than have them vining on the ground. Helps with the disease and the pest as well on them. So I encourage you to plant your cucumbers in containers, but put them on trellises for them to produce and produce well for you. I hope this video was helpful. Guys, please let me know in the comments if it was helpful. Did I promise you a bonus? Guys, you want to plant your herbs in containers. Number 11. Your bonus is herbs. Guys, I plant just about every single herb that I can put my hands on, all in containers. One of the main reasons, if you have soil, one of the main reasons you want to put them in containers is because they propagate themselves. They will spread and cover your entire garden, your entire backyard, front yard, side yard. So I encourage you to plant them in containers so you can control them better. Now, if you want a video of me breaking down all of the herbs that I plant in containers, drop a comment and let me know if that is what that is what you want to see, and I'll provide that video for you. Please continue to like and leave your comments, guys. Appreciate them so very much. Please continue to share the videos. Appreciate that too. Thank you, guys. My members, thank you so much for the support. Appreciate you all, and thank you for making Farming on the Rocks the channel of your choice. Thank you guys so very much. I'll take my leave for today. See you tomorrow. Bye, guys.